Hi, and thank you for joining me for today's Build Your Own Electric Vehicle program, brought to you by Carroll County Public Library. My name is Amanda, and today I'm going to be walking you through the steps to build your very own electric vehicle. Feel free to pause our video as needed as we go through the steps in order to complete the steps before we move on to the next one. So let's take a quick look at the supplies that should be in your kit that you received if you had a pickup kit, or the supplies that you would need to go ahead and get yourself if you're going to do this on your own. 2 5-inch long wooden dowels that are 1/8 of an inch in diameter, a piece of foam blocking approximately 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch and about 1/2 inch tall, and a 4-inch by 6-inch piece of 4mm corrugated plastic. Corrugated cardboard could also be used. 4 project car wheels with at least one of the rear wheels being a geared wheel. A project motor with a 1.5 to 3 volt output with lead wires attached, and a gear pulley combo unit that fits a 2mm motor shaft. A battery holder for a AA battery. In this picture you'll see the prong type battery holder with the rubber band that some kits have. In the next picture you'll see the other type of battery holder that other kits have. The second type of battery holder has lead wires already affixed to it. If you have this type of battery holder in your kit, you should also have 3 jumper wires or connector wires that we'll use to connect the battery holder to the motor. 1 AA battery and 2 2032 coin batteries. 4 LED light bulbs, 2 red and 2 clear. 2 pieces of foam, the larger one for decorating your vehicle at the end of our build, and the smaller one with adhesive backing on the back to help hold things in place as we build. Supplies not included in the kit but useful in our build include glue, tape, and scissors. Okay, great. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is go ahead and pick up our body piece for our vehicle. This is just a piece of corrugated plastic, and you should also have 2 5-inch wooden dowels that are going to serve as our axles. So what we want to do is go ahead and slide the dowels through one of the corrugated lines of the body piece, probably about 1 inch to 1/2 inch to 1 inch from either end. So when you're finished with that, your body piece should look something like this. And then you're going to want to put 2 of the rear wheel, or the 2 rear wheels on one of the axles, and the rear wheels are the ones that have gears on them. And then the front wheels on the other axle. Now you will notice you have a little bit of play in your axles. That's because the dowel is 5 inches long and the body piece is only about 4 inches wide. So if you'd like to kind of snug that up a little bit, you can actually take a pair of scissors and cut your axles down just a little bit. Just make sure you don't cut them down too far or you'll have trouble getting your wheels to stay on. So once you're happy with your axle length, what you can do is go ahead and take a dab of glue, if you have some, and just put some right on where the axle fit into the wheel to just kind of help hold it to place or hold it on the axle. All right, so you are going to want to be careful with your wheels while that glue dries, just so they don't get knocked off. If you do fall off, you can always just re-glue them and pop them back on your axles. So we're going to set our body piece to the side for a few minutes here. And next we're going to take a look at our motor. This is our electric motor. The black wire is your negative side, the red is the positive. And you should have a little tiny gear here that actually is going to connect to the motor. So basically the side of the gear with this little tiny hole in the middle of it, the flat side, needs to pop onto this tip of the motor here. The easiest way to do this is to place the gear flat side up on a hard surface like a table, and then just hold the motor with the point down and kind of push it into the gear until you feel it snap in. And if you're not sure, you should be able to give it a good tug and it should not come off that motor. All right, so go ahead and carefully bring in your body piece again. And what we want to do is align the gear teeth on our motor now with the gear on one of the rear wheels. Works easiest on the right rear wheel. So you can either go ahead and align them directly at the front of that wheel and just have your motor sitting on the actual base of your car. Or if you'd like your motor to be toward the top of the wheel, we have a little green foam block that should elevate your motor pretty much where you want it to be up top. So you can go ahead and place that foam block right there beside the wheel and then place your motor on top of it. And you should see if you push your car back and forth, you want that so that both the teeth and the cogs slide with each other or turn with each other. So if you're happy with your placement, you can either, if you have tape, you can go ahead and tape that all into place to hold that together so that the two gears don't slip out from each other. Or you should have a little foam strip that has a backing to the back of it that is a sticky sided foam strip that you can also use to tape it down. All right, so our vehicle looks something like this right now. So the next step is to go ahead and add your battery holder. We have two different types of battery holders depending upon which kit bag that you got. So I'm going to illustrate both of them for you. The first type is this flat battery holder, it's just a flat bottom that actually has connector wires on it. If you got one of these, you should also have 3 connector wires that go in your kit. We're only going to use 2 of them, but just sometimes these end pieces fall off. Or we have some problems keeping the wires in, so we threw an extra one in for you. So you might notice we're getting a whole lot of wires on top of our vehicle here. What you can do to clean it up some if you'd like is actually feed the wires through the body of the vehicle is one option. So you can actually just take that wire and slide it through one of the corrugated spots in the body of the vehicle, and then take the other one and do the same in a different slot. And what that does is it just kind of cleans up the upper area of your vehicle here. Another option is you could just coil them and take them down in the middle. That's fine too. So if you have the type of battery holder that has the 2 wires, we want to go ahead and take one of our connector wires here. We're going to connect it to the black wire coming out of the motor by just sliding it in the end of that connector. And then we're going to take the black wire coming out of the battery holder and slide it into the end of the other end of the connector wire. And then the same with another connector wire, the red wire. Now before you connect the whatever color your connector wire is to the red wire in the battery holder, just so we can test to make sure that the circuit is good, we're going to go ahead and pop our little AA battery into our battery holder. And the negative side of your battery should be going toward the side that has the spring in the battery holder. All right, so now the battery's in. Now, when I connect this, I lost that side. When I connect the red wire on the battery holder to the other connector wire, If your wires are all good and held together the way they should be, your vehicle's going to start to go. So that's the easiest way to test to make sure that you created that circuit correctly between the battery and the motor that battery is powering. Yep. And our car goes. So once you have that working properly, go ahead and figure out where on your car that you want your battery holder to go. And then you can go ahead and just tape that battery holder down. And the easiest way to kind of stop and start the car at that point is just to disconnect your red battery holder wire from the red connector. Or from the connector wire for the red. So if you have the other type of battery holder, this one, please be careful with it. It does have little prongs at the bottom. I've covered up as much of those as we could before you need to actually connect it. But you'll notice this does not have wires connecting on either end of it. So if you have this type of battery holder, you actually do not have those connector wires in the middle because you don't need them. You are going to basically connect the battery holder directly to the wires coming out of the motor. So in this case, because we have the little prongs at the bottom to keep it in place, just decide where you want your battery holder to go on your vehicle, but make sure it's somewhere that your wires can actually reach either end of it. And then you should just be able to push down, but be careful you don't have your fingers underneath of where it's pushing through, although it shouldn't push through all the way. And it will snap onto your vehicle and stay in place. So you notice if you have that type of battery connector, you also have a black rubber band in your kit. And what that's going to do is help us hold the two wires in place on either end of the connector. You can also tape them in place if you prefer to. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to go ahead, in this case, just for the testing and hook the wires up first and then put the battery in. So we're going to slide the black wire in the spring end of the battery connector and that red wire in the other end. And if you have somebody that can help you with kind of an extra hand, that's great for this step to help keep those wires in place while we wrap a rubber band around. And we're just going to wrap that rubber band around twice around the ends of the battery connector to hold those wires in place. So your finished one will look something like that with the red going in one side, the black in the other, and your battery connector sitting on your vehicle. So now, again, to test, you're just going to pop your battery in, although be careful because your wires are in place right now, it's going to start going as soon as that connection's made. So you might just want to hold it up in the air while you pop it in. Assuming you get a good connection. Nope, now see my black wire fell out, so I've got to fix that. You'll see I have a running vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and remove one of the wires so that it doesn't run while we're trying to build. And as you're building, things may slide out of place, pop out of place, but you can always go back and fix them after the fact. So we have a running vehicle. I'm just going to disconnect that red wire for right now. And so now that we have the basic vehicle put together, we're going to add some headlights and taillights. So in your kit, you should have a little envelope. This is 4 LED light bulbs on it. And if you pour those out, you're going to have 2 reds and 2 clears. The reds will be our taillights and the clear will be our headlights. So if you look at your LED bulbs, you'll notice that out of the two prongs, one is actually longer than the other. That is the positive side of your LED light bulb. And this is very important because if you put it upside down relative to your battery, it's not going to work. It's not going to connect and make that circuit. So if you look at your little coin cell batteries, one of the sides has a plus on it. That's your positive side. So what you want to do is take that LED bulb and slide it so that the longer prong or the positive prong is on the positive side of that battery. If you do that correctly, you should get a light. And then go ahead and do that with your second clear LED bulb for your headlights. And then we're going to go ahead and place them where we want them to be in the front of our car. Or if you want them somewhere else in your car, that's fine too. And we're going to tape them down. Alright, so our car now has headlights. So we're going to repeat the process with the red LEDs and the other button cell or the cell battery you have. Again, longer prong goes on the plus side of the battery, the positive side of the battery. So we have our tail lights, so we'll go ahead and place those and tape them down as well. And you do want to make sure that you have those taped down pretty securely because as you start to run your car around and it bumps into things, the LEDs could pop off of their battery. All right, so we have our little LED vehicle with its headlights and taillights. And so if we reconnect the battery, we're ready to go. And so we have our little functioning electric vehicle. So thank you again for joining me for today's Build Your Own Electric Vehicle program. I'd love to see the pictures of the vehicles that you come up with in the comments. The one thing that I didn't use that you will find in your kit is the foam sheet. You can use that to decorate your vehicle. You could make, spoilers or, a roof for the vehicle or anything you can imagine. So again, love to see the pictures of what you build in the comments, and thanks for joining us again today.